Did you see the bunch? I saw it.
Leo Brien, Michael Patrick, the Dirty Blondes, here at CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling in South Florida at Coral Springs Charter School. What was it like? You guys were in a six-man tag. You had Johnny Walker there going against the Puerto Rican Connection, basically. What was it just like being here at CCW and getting that six-man tag?
Oh, it's tons of fun, man. It's a good, hot crowd out there. Packs it up.
Yeah, man, it was fun. It always makes a huge difference when you've got a hot crowd that's, you know, getting into the match, and, you know, you literally, I know it's cliche, but you feed off the crowd. So, you know, the bigger and the hotter and the louder the crowd is, man, the better it is. I think Brien even said that it felt like Puerto Rico. You know, we were in there against the Puerto Rican Connection, but just, you know, the loud crowd, the hot of the atmosphere.
It's temperature hot.
Temperature, yeah, you're sweating. It was really cool, man.
Yeah, so all right, then that lead into this. You guys have wrestled in Puerto Rico before.
Yes.
Who did you wrestle for down there? Was it with Colón? Was it Savio Vega? Was it some other group that you went down there for?
I was another group down there, CWA. One of the I think they're a pretty hot independent promotion, a very good crowd. You know, unfortunately, I don't think wrestling is quite what it was back in the 80s or 70s or, you know, even further back. Everywhere, you know, and people talk about Puerto Rico being like a hot spot for old school, you know, just blood, guts, that sort of thing. But still, you know, good little company, a lot of good young guys down there trying to, you know, make a name for themselves, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. We wrestled in a little town called, was it Teo Alta?
Teo Alta, yeah.
Yeah, it was like out in the country, though. It was cool. It was a lot different than wrestling here, you know. A lot of people yelling at you. You can't really understand what they're saying, but yeah. All you know is it's not good.
How was the after wrestling? Did they have a nice little spot to go to at least afterwards down there, or not like here?
We found a cool little place on the beach, like a little a little cantina. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it was like a little bar. We were drinking some like what do we have in rum and stuff.
Any tequila or no tequila?
Yeah. No, I think rum is the thing.
Rum. And then the local beer was it Medalla? Yeah, that was pretty cool. We got to drink some of that. So I enjoyed it. Like I'm the type of person. Like one of the perks of actually being a wrestler is you get to travel and you just get to see different places. And you know, like we've got, you know, from, you know, we've been blessed to be able over the last couple of years to really branch out of our home state of Florida. And really get out and somewhat sort of make a name for ourselves and meet people literally all over the world. I mean, we have friends in Japan, we have friends in Puerto Rico, you know,
Germany.
Yeah, you know, so when you get out and, you know, you always hear about like the brotherhood of professional wrestling. It still exists. It really does. It's not on the great grand scale that it used to be for the guys who were really a part of the business that made a living doing this. But if you're willing to get out there and put in the miles and sacrifice the time, it's out there, man. You can make friends and you know, you can form that brotherhood with a lot of people out there and just experience different cultures and just different areas and stuff, man. So
well,
definitely
experiencing different cultures and working for different companies. Company that you guys have been working for, you can see it on beIN Sports, is MLW, Major League Wrestling, and there's Court Bauer, there is Bruce Pritchard is involved behind the scenes with this. WWE writers, creative, that back many years ago they're involved in MLW, and there's a lot of talent on the show. There's some legends, and speaking of legends, you guys get to work with, as your manager, none other than the head of the stud stable, Colonel Robert Parker. What has that experience been like?
It's a lot of beer and a lot of Slim Jims.
Yeah.
But it's fun. He's awesome. He's just a different type of cat, you know. I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's just, you know, obviously somebody, the Fuller Welch family, people that are fans and historians of wrestling are familiar with those names as far as like, you know, like what were you saying earlier? The family history goes back to like the 20s.
Yeah, his family traces back to the 1920s. Yeah. In professional wrestling. Like I don't really believe that there would be a Southern wrestling without the Welch family. You know, or it's what is it? The Welches, Fields, and
well, I guess the Fullers are the Welches.
Oh, okay,
and,
yeah.
The Goldens are in there.
The Jarretts.
Yeah.
To a degree, throw the Jarretts in there, the Goulises, the Armstrongs. I mean, you're going back way, but you're right. When you think of Fuller Welch, not many people think about that when you're talking about wrestling families. When you talk wrestling families overall, I mentioned before, the Hart family, the Samoans, you always mention them, the Funks have been around, they have generational wrestling, they've been through but the Fuller Welch has meant so much, especially like you said, to the Southern wrestling and all. Has he been able to share any stories with you guys?
Some. A lot we can't share. But, no, it's cool. Like we always make the joke, like we'll be driving down the road and you know, Colonel will be like, "Oh, this reminds me of the time me and Andre the Giant were driving, and you know, or me and Stone Cold were driving, you know." And it's like, you just have to like pinch yourself and go, "Man, this dude, he's seen it all, man. He's lived a life. He's been around. You know, he's an important person himself, but he's been around a lot of important people in wrestling." And it's helped us. I think it's been a blessing for us because, you know, we kind of walk into a situation, it's like, oh, these guys are Colonel Parker's boys, you know, and just to be able to use that name lends us credibility, and I mean, it's something I know that we're grateful for, we're thankful for, and you know, he took a liking to us. He enjoys spending time with us, I think, you know. Yeah. And no, it's just fun. It really is. He's a good guy, and he's done a lot for us.
Not only him, but MLW in itself and being on beIN Sports every Friday night show they have, and that's North America, and I also believe Puerto Rico as well, maybe Mexico as well, but I know United States and Canada for beIN Sports. And has that exposure helped you guys?
Yeah, it has. You know, within what are they on, like 5 or 6 weeks now?
Or something like that for TV. Yeah.
And literally, since we've been on, we've had promoters reach out to us and say, "Hey, we saw you guys on MLW. We like the look. We like the gimmick. We like what you're doing. You know, would you be interested in coming up?" I think the wheel is just starting to turn as far as that goes because we're starting to get a little bit of it, but. Yeah, you know, we definitely have had people reach out to us and ask us, you know, "Hey, are you available on these dates?" Simply because of MLW, no other reason. Just they saw us on TV and, you know, they reached out to us. So that's definitely a positive, and hopefully it's something that keeps happening. You know, you don't want to.
When you both started, did you both start together, or you formulate the tag team later on?
Mike's way older than me.
Where was the start for both of you guys?
Well, we both started with Steve Keirn at different times. And you were what, like 2 or something like that?
Yeah. So I trained with Steve Keirn a few years back in the early 2000s, and then Brien trained with Steve. Actually, you trained at developmental.
Well, yeah, beginner's class with Steve Keirn, Norman Smiley, and that was I started in January 2013. So coming up on just over 5 years now.
Steve Keirn and Norman Smiley, you talk about Norman, very involved with WWE Performance Center up in Orlando and all, and Steve is still part of the family per se with WWE and all, so to have that type of training behind you guys is really, that's another one. You mentioned like Colonel Rob Parker, you can mention Steve Keirn, you can mention Norman Smiley, MLW. These are all things that you guys just keep building the resume, it keeps growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then we just we actually met and we found out, you know, we were just talking one day and we found out we were both trained by Steve, and then just kind of built that friendship from there, and we started traveling together and actually wrestling each other quite a bit.
Yeah, we spent like a year and a half just wrestling against each other. Somehow, somebody one time just put us together as a team, and that was pretty much it. Just rolled with it.
Clicked right away?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then lots of hours, I would say, sitting around drinking beer, watching old World Class, Freebirds, Von Erichs.
Oh man, it's good stuff in Texas. Jeez. All right, guys. Social media.
We're on Twitter. What is it?
Dirty Blondes Tag.
Dirty Blondes Tag.
At Dirty Blondes Tag.
Yeah. That's our only social media. I mean, we have our individual Facebooks, but if you want anything, what's that?
Oh no, I don't want to cut you off, but looking at the Bruiser Brody Japanese style here.
Somebody told me that it says Bruiser Brody Intelligent Monster. I think that's what it says. I hope that's what it says. I hope it doesn't say anything bad.
And I see the Lucha Pride shirt here.
Yeah, it's a company out in Texas that we've been out there with. So.
All right, guys. Nice job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.